Hey, this is JKQ4DUX, yet another ham radio video. Today we're going to talk about tarps and shelters. In a recent video I did a review of everyday carry flashlights. And the reason for doing that is just want to showcase some of the items that I've found very useful in portable radio operations. So today we're going to be talking about tarps, like I said. And just a word of caution and a disclaimer here. It is raining today, and I'm fully aware of the dangers of lightning. So don't be out there messing around if there's lightning in the area, especially with radio. But that being said, there are times where you may need a shelter for light rain. There may be showers coming through or something else with the weather. And one thing for sure, down here in the south it gets hot, and it sure is nice to have some shade. So I'll see. I was planning maybe to do an activation today. Looking at the radar, there was a chance there was going to be a gap of a couple hours, but nevertheless I'll at least show you the materials I use and maybe a couple of the methods, and hopefully you can find this helpful, either to get some shade in the summertime when it's hot, or to get out of the rain. All right, well, it is currently light rain, so we'll see how far we get. But let me just show you some of the components, and they're a lot better, easier systems. What this is cheap. So this is a tarp like from Harbor Freight, and the poles that I'm using is actually electrical conduit, and these come in 10-foot lengths, I believe, and I've shortened them to maybe about 7 and put some holes in here to facilitate either like some clips to clip on things, or you can run a cord through those. And they're less than 10 bucks a piece. They were about $7-8 bucks, I think. And then we've got a couple different types of tent stakes. This is the cheaper variety. Most of these are all available at Walmart. This is a re-rod, so they use this in construction, concrete and stuff, and I cut them, and what I use those for is to put in the ground so the bottom of the tent poles don't move. So I pounded those in. I laid out my tarp to kind of get an idea of where they need to be, and these will, I mean, these are not meant to hold them up on their own, obviously, but this will keep the bottom from sliding around. And then you can run your line, you know, say you do a ridge line between the two poles and have your classic kind of inverted V shape. Or sometimes when I'll use 4 poles, I'll put one in each corner, and then you have like a square top, and then the back side would angle down. That works very well also. And as far as the cord, I still haven't opened this, but this looks like really good cord. I think I got this at REI, I believe. But this is a pretty 5mm cord. Maybe even shows using for clothesline and things like that. And then I think I showed this tip in another video, but these 4 are cut to length, to the proper length for these poles. So I can use these on the top of the pole, and when you tie the knot, you could just use a piece of heat shrink, put that on there, keeps it from getting frayed and coming apart. And then, you know, when you're trying to put this through a little hole like so, you know, makes it so much easier, because we have seen the outer sheath separate. And I hear a little bit of thunder in the distance, so I don't really think I'm gonna keep going here and activate today, but I think what I will do is get this thing set up the next opportunity I have, like in the yard or something, and show you what it looks like. Okay, we're back in the backyard here. So this is just one example using 2 poles, or if you had two trees and ran a line for a ridge line. The way I did this, I'm not actually using a ridge line, we're just using basically the tarp itself. And again, it just started to rain a little more, but here's the basic thing. Because of where the grommets are in the tarp, it's not a perfect V, but that's okay. This might actually work pretty well because I'll just sit down here and you can see under the front. So if you set your table up this way, you'd have a view of whoever is coming in front of you or whatever you want to look at. One thing that might be nice with this too, as far as shade, this is high enough to allow wind to pass through either direction, and you can do it just getting one end of the tarp basically almost to the ground. And there are times for that might create a bigger shade pocket for you, but the other thing you want to think about is wind, whether you want wind to go through or not, whether you're trying to stay warm or trying to stay cool. So here's just an example of one way of doing it. I'll see if I can get it set up the other way. And here's option 2. Very simple. As you can see, the stakes in the back are just directly to the ground. I've got the 2 poles and 4 lines, guy lines, or whatever you want to call them. So, I mean, this will have its role as well. Obviously, for shade, this time of day it's facing the wrong direction, but if we turned it around, we'd have a nice area of shade there. All right, and here's the final option. Of course, the sky's the limit on different things you can do, and again, I don't claim to be an expert on this. I know enough to get by. I'm sure there's tips and tricks and better ways to do things, but this is just an idea to get the wheels rolling in your mind of things that you could do. And I'm sure, like I said, there may be a lot of videos that are a lot more detailed, but yeah, this design has a flat top and then the slope back. I suppose you could just drop the back part completely down, but as you can see, there's a pretty good amount of shade. I don't know if you can see this flag, but there's a little bit of a breeze blowing, and I do feel it. I'm gonna sit in the chair now. Can feel the breeze, and hopefully it would withstand a fair amount of wind without being blown down. I mean, these are pretty heavy duty tent pegs. Let me back out here, and as you can see, I've used this as a painting drop cloth. So, you know, use what you got. That's what it's all about. So to wrap it up, I'm just going to talk about how this has worked. I don't use this a whole lot. I mean, this is something I put in my van, and I mean, I've set it up a couple of times, but plenty of times there have been just natural shade from trees and things like that. Obviously with the van, I can use that for shade. I could sit in the van and just run the coax out the window if the weather's really bad. But what I'm looking for in the future, hopefully in the next month or so, they do make some really neat like car camping tarps. They're made to go over the back end of the vehicle, so it kind of drapes over the back. And I think the one I was looking at is like 17 feet long, and it includes a couple of poles, and really looks like a good deal. I'm looking into that, and for this year, you know, not a whole lot of brand new gear or anything when I'm getting out in the parks and doing Parks on the Air this summer, but kind of looking at, you know, the convenience items and things like that that'll make activations, you know, quicker, more enjoyable, and stuff like that, because the part I enjoy is being on the air, and the less time it takes me to set up and take down, the better. So Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, leave a comment below. You've watched yet another ham radio video. This is Jay, KQ4 DUX. Hope to see you on there soon. 7-3.